The results of our test of the Tesla Model S P85D, next on Talking Cars. Hi, and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Mutchler.
I'm Mark Recton.
And I'm Jake Fisher.
Let's set the stage. About 2 years ago, we bought a Tesla Model S. We tested it. It turned out it was the highest scoring car we've ever tested. Curious, we decided to buy a Tesla Model S P85D, partly based on the overwhelming support of Talking Cars viewers. We are finally done testing that car. We're finally ready to report on it. Jake, how did it do?
Terrible. One of the lowest rated vehicles. I guess it comes as no surprise. I mean, you take the best car we've ever tested and you make it better, and it does better. So it kind of broke the system. I mean, this car, so the old one, it tested at 99. Mm-hmm. This new one, it's faster.
Yeah.
It's more energy efficient.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense, but it does.
We'll get to that in a bit.
We'll get into that. All-wheel drive. We also have the 21-inch wheel and tire package, which makes it stop much better, handles much better. Yeah, we've seen numbers that we've never seen before. So this kind of blew out the system. We're giving it a score of 100. Mm-hmm. And yeah, once again, this is the top rated vehicle we've seen.
Mark?
Okay, so when you have a score of 100, does that mean it's a perfect car? Well, not necessarily. I mean, you have a car where, if you look, I mean, this car costs 127 grand, and the interior fitments are nice, but they aren't befitting a $127,000 car. And also, because it's an electric vehicle, you know, you have not as much range anxiety as you might on a Mitsubishi i-MiEV, but you know, it's 220 miles, and if you're going on a long road trip, you're not going the way of a Tesla supercharger port, it might be inconvenient to do so. So 100 doesn't necessarily make it a perfect car, but correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but this means it in terms of the road test evaluation itself, in terms of the dynamic performance of the vehicle, that is what we are rating it on.
Well, I mean, we're looking at all different aspects. So, I mean, the number 100, it does take into account comfort, convenience, ride, living with the car, a lot of these different pieces. I mean, what we're seeing is that it's a little bit of a square peg in a round hole. We don't test a lot of $127,000 vehicles.
No, this is the most expensive car we have ever
That is correct. We're not used to seeing large cars go to 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. We're not used to seeing cars that get an equivalent of 87 miles per gallon and are that fast. So it really just kind of blows apart a lot of things. And Mark's totally right. I mean, this car is not perfect in every single way. When you look at how we set up the 100-point scale, we're not saying, well, 100 points means it is the fastest car ever and the most comfortable car ever and all that stuff, and then everything kind of takes away from that. It's kind of like just taking this, again, this round peg or square peg, I don't know which one it was, but it doesn't quite fit with the rest of the automotive marketplace. So you throw it in here and it just kind of like, bloop, everything kind of blows up because it is so incredible in the way it performs.
Well, I mean, that creates a problem for us as Consumer Reports, is that, you know, we have created this rating scheme.
Right.
The rating system exists as a way to communicate how we feel about a car.
Right.
There are limitations to that. You know, when you have a 100-point scale, do you want to, you know, okay, so that car scores, it breaks the rating system. It would have scored probably higher than 100. But the thing is do you want to pull every other car down on the scale in order to show that this is 100, or do you adjust this car?
Right. I mean, the existing rating scale kind of like puts a lot of the cars in their place and shows kind of comparatively where they go. You know, if we did set up a system where, you know, you have to get 3.5 seconds to get a top marks in acceleration, et cetera, you know, most of the cars would get, you know, 25s and 26s.
Right.
And it might be a little confusing, you know, which car we're recommending.
That's the problem. I mean, you have this car that performs so far off the scale that, okay, if you adjust the entire scale for every car to reflect that, now you're squishing all the other cars together for the benefit of of a one-off.
Well, and while that's true, I mean, we didn't just arbitrarily give this car 100. We didn't just arbitrarily go and say, we're going to put it on the Tesla P85 scoring scheme. Maybe we should, because it is such kind of a different animal. But what we actually did was, I mean, now I'm going to go, I'll geek out on you a little bit here, but first, now for something completely different,
I'm so
right?
excited.
But we're going non-linear with some of our scores, you know, and again, this is getting real deep into it. But you know, look, you drive a Honda CR-V, or you drive a small SUV, and you go from 10 seconds 0 to 60 to 8 seconds 0 to 60.
That's a relevant difference.
Yes.
That difference matters.
That matters. You get a car that is a car like this, and you go from 5.5 seconds to 3.5 seconds.
That really doesn't matter.
They're both really quick.
Well, hang on a second.
I mean, it
the
matters.
The way
but-
it goes 0 to 60. And we can, you know, if people want to get interactive here, you can click pause on this video so you can do this, okay? Go to your stopwatch on your smartphone, go to the stopwatch settings, and go start, stop. Do it as quickly as you can. If you're really good, you get in about 1/10 of a second. So when you look at accelerative force of a vehicle, and you have this car, and there are a lot of cars with more horsepower, but there's delays in getting the power from the engine through the transmission to the tires, which may have a little scrub to them. This car goes from 0 to 1.02 Gs in less than 1/4 of a second, which is almost as fast as the human brain can react. So when you look at it from that perspective, and the fact that it does it silently, and that you are fully experiencing a full G load instantly, to me, that makes a huge difference. And the fact that the only other way that you can feel that in a legal setting is to basically jump out of an airplane to receive the instant G-force, the force of gravity's pull, and yet you're doing this on a horizontal plane is something that is so outstanding and over the top that I think that from that sense, it does make a difference.
Can I say that? Oh, I don't believe I'm going to say this. Is that a good idea? I mean,
It's an awesome idea.
Oh, I mean, look.
It's the best idea.
When are you?
Disclaimer, done by professionals, don't perform this at home.
Yeah, no, I mean, insane mode. Look, we've done tons of videos about insane mode with us giggling.
Did you get
like-
nauseous? A little bit nauseous?
I got a lot nauseous, actually. Well, you do it 5 or 6 times, and all of the gooey parts inside of you are shaking all over
Your
the
brain retreats into this little corner, and I think part of it is that you're not used to it. You want the Sturm und Drang of the velocity of all
You want
the
the
noise.
build, yeah.
And you want the
The Flight of the Valkyries does not start full blast.
right. You don't begin with a
immediately.
crescendo. The
Exactly.
insane mode is instant crescendo, and it's silent, and your brain doesn't know how to process that. And yeah, you do that, and there's a little part of your brain that gets a little panicky. Let me out. Reach for the door
Flight or
handle.
fight.
Yeah, and should the general public have access to this if they have $127,000?
I'll say yes. Okay. But let me say when you talk about jumping off, you know, we say it's like kind of like it's like an amusement park ride, and actually it's more than that because we measured it. We did the Hellcat versus Tesla video, and we get all sciencey and stuff. So yeah, I mean when you go through it, we said it's like an amusement park ride more than a car, but actually it was greater than a G. I mean you jump free falls, accelerating really fast. That's a G. That was actually a little bit more than a G. So it's amazing. But I mean, to bring it back down to score, I mean, for a car, I mean, it's one thing being kind of a parlor trick, you know, and an amusement park ride. Does it make that much better of a car to do? Is there a limit? And another example is the fuel efficiency.
Sure.
So if you go from, you know, we'll play this game again. You go from 20 miles per gallon in an older mid-size sedan, you go to 40, around 40, which you get in a Prius.
That's a big difference.
That's huge. That's 20 miles per gallon. But if you go from 80 to 100, it's nothing. And when you look at this car, you know, yes, it's more fuel efficiency. It's between 84 and 87. If you're getting 60, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not that much fuel you're saving.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between going 84 to 87 and 80 to 100. Just ask the guys who are doing the Prius, who are trying to make the leap from 50 to 60, and they can't.
But they're trying to make that leap. I mean, that's bragging rights.
It's bragging
There's
rights.
a difference
It's-
between what you're marketing and what that big number that's in
Right.
the ad campaigns versus really what it's going to mean to your fuel bill.
So it's a difference between the parlor trick or something you could post on your, on your website or brag to your friends about. But the truth is that the actual fuel savings, once you get, I mean, like my wife's got a Prius. She doesn't spend her fuel budget isn't that big. Getting 45 miles per gallon around that.
I have a Dodge Durango that gets about 18 miles per gallon. I would love to get 24 miles per gallon. That would be really nifty.
Exactly. And that would actually be a big quantity of fuel you would save.
This is all the law of diminishing returns.
Well,
and
that's
the
exactly what it
P85D
is.
is
Agreed.
a perfect example of the law of diminishing returns. It doesn't mean it's not an awesome achievement, because we touched on this earlier, that typically in the normal automotive world, in a world of typical automobiles, when you have the high performance version of a car,
Yeah.
it is faster. It rides really stiff. But it sucks fuel. I mean, it just
Right.
gobbles it down. This doesn't do that. It is faster than the normal P85.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's faster than the normal Model S, and it gets better fuel economy.
Right, and
that's a neat trick.
That is a neat trick, and it's true. It's like, look, we've tested other very expensive cars, the 7 Series BMW, the S-Class Mercedes-Benz, and we don't go out and get the super high performance version of those cars. Because you know what? We kind of know what they're going to do. They're going to be faster, and they're going to use more fuel. This is kind of like this new world order where it's faster and all-wheel drive. And we already know all-wheel drive. What does it do? You lose a
more,
mile
so,
per gallon.
yeah, exactly.
No, it's faster. It's all-wheel drive, and it's more energy efficient.
Yeah,
it's
we
pretty
should,
neat.
We should clarify that we got 84 miles per gallon out of a rear-wheel drive Model S 85. And we got 87 out of this P85D, which is all-wheel drive and has almost double the horsepower.
Well, and it also has the 21-inch wheel and tire package, which actually does hurt the fuel efficiency. So if we didn't get that package, we'd probably even get above that 87 miles per gallon.
Now let's talk a little bit about that wheel and tire package. There are benefits to that. The braking distances were better, but you give up a few things with it.
Right. You get better braking distances. You also get better ultimate handling with it. It was higher speed through our avoidance maneuver and some of our testing. But it was pretty good to begin with the 85 that we tested. But the detractors are kind of more in your face. There's more road noise. I mean, you look at the normal car, it is almost eerily quiet and silent. You don't get that with this. And the ride's hurt as well.
So, let's say you were going to buy a Tesla Model S. Which one do you get?
I think that the number of opportunities to fully explore the dimension of a P85D are very rare, and the one thing about the P85D's acceleration is that it does taper off. It's not like you're at a full G of acceleration ad infinitum. It starts, it spikes very quickly and then begins a gradual tailing off. And in fact, over the course of a quarter mile or a half a mile, these other internal combustion engine cars will actually pass it. So it's not like you're at a G and you go from 0 to 60 in 3.5, 0 to 100 in 4.5, 0 to 200 in 6.5. No. It's not like that. Eventually, you get that diminishing returns on the acceleration side as well. Still, that sort of extreme level of performance is why there are websites like wreckedexotics.com. I mean, look what this guy did to his Lamborghini. Well, you're going to start seeing people do that to Tesla P85Ds because it will rapidly outstrip the ability of the person driving it. And just because
despite it being an extraordinarily competent car.
But at some point the laws of physics take over, and if you're not...
Well, also human stupidity.
Yeah, and money doesn't grant you intelligence in all areas. Sometimes you're really smart one way, dumb another, and personally, I would recommend that if you're going to go out and buy this car, that you take a very extensive professional driving school course and learn how to properly control the car, because you will get into a situation where the car is too much for you.
Your thoughts?
I think everyone should buy one of these. I think it would be a better place, a safer place. No, but I mean, look, it's true. I mean, it is an amazing, catapult you're sitting on, right? I mean, it just launches you. But, we've driven other cars that accelerate really fast. It's not as frightening as those. And the reason is that, you get a Mustang, you get a Hellcat or something like that. It's very easy, you turn off the little button, you light up the rear tires, and you show off to the... I'm not doing this.
No,
but people do this.
Theoretically.
But this is what happened. I've seen on the interwebs, on the YouTube, that they're coming out of the Dodge showroom and they're already in the woods because the smoke show happens and the tail slides out and they go hit the curb. This isn't going to do that. Going 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, there's no tire squeal. There's no tire chirp. It's just a catapult. So, you know, you can hit the brakes, the car's not going sideways. You know, as amazing that is, it's not as frightening as some of these other sports cars are, I guess.
Sure.
That said, stuff happens quick, so we will see. But you know, if you didn't get in traffic, that'll get you there quick.
Yeah, but so will.
I have one car length. I can make it.
Yeah, but I mean, so will normal Model S. I mean, it
Yes.
just
You're
strikes
right,
me
you're
that.
right. It's a bit of a parlor trick. It's
mean,
a bit of bragging rights. is
No,
what
I
it
mean,
is.
some of this though is giving mythical advice, because a lot of people who are buying Model S's are really, they're well-to-do. They're not really worried about making their next car payment.
And the $40,000 price gap from a Model S to a P85D is,
You're buying bragging rights.
Yeah.
You're buying, it's the people who buy M3s who just use it to commute to work to Apple. You're buying the best car that's out there. I think for normal mortals, the 70 is quite, any Model S is quite a car. And even the base car, you skip that wheel and tire package, the 21 inches, and it's eerily quiet inside. It is one of the best riding cars we've ever tested. And actually, that's a point. That's a point we're missing in all this discussion about performance, is that the Model S, P85D or not, is a complete package. It is not just the result of that 3.5 second 0 to 60 time.
Right.
It's not just 87 miles per gallon. It is that this is a highly enjoyable car to drive.
Yeah, I think that gets lost very quickly when you start talking about acceleration numbers. I mean, this is it's a large vehicle. It's roomy. It's a very, easy car to live with, as long as you're not doing over 200 miles a day. But we talk about the supercharger stations, and in 20 minutes you could do X and Y. But I don't spend 20 minutes at the gas station, so it does have that problem. But overall, as a whole car, yeah, the whole thing is very amazingly developed, and it's surprising from a new car company.
and when you look at what this vehicle is able to do for its footprint, for its weight, I mean, there's exotic cars out in the world that can do 0 to 60 in 3.5 or less, but they fit 2 people and a handbag. And basically it's engine, space frame, fuel tank, and 2 beach chairs. And this is something where you can take your whole family on a rather long journey in complete comfort. There's no sacrifice of, wow, I have to sit in a bathtub because that's the way the vehicle's laid out. This is a family sedan that does this. And to get back to score, I think that's a reason why our score has to be 100 on this, because yeah, there are other cars that can do these performance numbers, but they don't then give you all of that as well.
Right, there are caveats here though. First of all, reliability so far has been average. We'll have new results in a couple months, but we've had door handle problem, the fancy door handles like to break, and we had that problem on our car. Another caveat is that the care and feeding, well, there's not much care, but the feeding of a Tesla is something different. I mean, it is not a normal gasoline car. And a couple weeks ago, we got this. We had you on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about Tesla. You made some comments about living with a Model S, and we got this comment, and from a true believer. True believers drive me nuts, but it's worth addressing this sort of comment. Considering the Tesla Model S, the EV I happen to own, is your top-rated car, you guys sure do make every effort not to recommend it. Mark's comments in particular were a disgrace.
I feel disgraced.
As well, you
I feel
should.
humiliated.
There are literally thousands of non-Tesla branded charging stations around the country, so Mom will not need a tow truck to go visit the grandkids in North Dakota. I don't have any superchargers within 1,000 miles of my home, and I still love the car and have driven to both coasts. And what exactly is such a big deal about turning one's home into a charging station? All that's required is putting in a new 220-volt plug. But the thing is, I buy an Audi A8, I buy a 7 Series. I'm not putting in my own gas station.
And a non-supercharging station
Is slow.
It's not just, I've drove a Model S from LA to Vegas. I did a bonsai run, and there's a supercharging station in Barstow. It's right next to a chain restaurant, and you plug in, fortunately, or hoping that there's
a spot.
a spot available. You plug in, you go and eat a burger, you come out, you're charged up. Great. If you go to a non-Tesla supercharger, you're going to be sitting there for some hours. You better be patient. Maybe you have a romantic picnic. But then you're having a romantic picnic every 200 miles, and that's a little different.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the people who are buying these cars, they have another car. This isn't your primary car because it's not a very good primary car. If you need to, every once in a while, take a long trip. I just took the family out west on some long trips. I'm going, 100 miles before finding a good gas station or something.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, no, electric car is gonna be a little iffy in that situation. But that said, for most of what you need to do, except for that once in a while I got to go take a trip, it's really good.
But I think it's fair to say both sides of this, that, hey, if most of your driving is under, if, you don't drive. I mean, it's
okay,
200 miles is a good day.
200,
driving.
right,
no
exactly.
question. A typical day of driving.
When it was, the original, the smaller electric cars and other things, it's like, well, most people only drive 40 miles. Most
Right.
people only drive 50 miles. And it's like, that's uncomfortable. But it's not even a question. If you only drive around 200 miles, you only drive about 200 miles a day. And this is what most people do. It's true. I mean, that does give you a lot.
So Tesla constantly improves their cars. I mean, they will wire software updates down to you. I mean, it's another way that they break the paradigm. They also continue to evolve the car. Insane mode isn't the most insane anymore, is it?
No. So there's a new mode, ludicrous mode. And that promises to go 0 to 60 in 0.3 seconds faster. Because who's got time for,
I don't have time.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see how fast the thing gets. I mean, we could actually upgrade our car. There's an upgrade available for 6 months for people who own these cars like us. I'd be interested to hear from viewers and commenters to see if they think we should bother with this. Honestly, I mean, to spend a couple of $1,000s to go 0 to 60 in 0.3 seconds, I'm not sure if it's really worth it, but it's something that we could do and we could test it.
Right. The other thing is, if I understand this right, because it's a bit complicated, we can upgrade our 85. We can upgrade our car with the 85 kilowatt battery. But if you're buying a new Model S, you need to get the 90 kilowatt battery. So it's a lot more money.
Yeah,
for that time, and a slight range bump of like 6% or something like that. Okay. So say you have a.
I'm waiting for disgraceful mode. Since
I think they talked about maximum plaid going along the Spaceballs continuum. Okay, so you have $127,000 burning a hole in your pocket.
Okay.
What do you buy?
Well,
Do you buy a P85D?
I think for a lot of people it is the right answer. But this falls to the same conclusion I do with anytime you go to the cocktail party and we all get asked, oh, what should I buy? You guys are the experts. And it's like, buy the car you want. And that may not necessarily be a Tesla. You may be wowed by it. You may be wowed by the parlor trick element of it. You may be impressed with the fact that this happens only in a sedan and not in a sports car that seats 2 people. But it may not talk to you. It may not have personality. You may not feel like naming it.
Does it talk to you? Or you personally, would you buy a P85D with that money?
Probably not. Just because if I were ever to go back to California, there are already so many Teslas on the road, they are as common as Nissans. So, no one goes, whoa, Tesla in California anymore, because it's commonplace.
Your thoughts?
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, we drive lots of expensive cars. I mean, you could drive around in an S-Class or a 7 Series. Nobody comes up to you and says, oh, wow, you have an S-Class. Wow, they're just cars. This is a car that really says a statement. I mean, it's a statement of being ahead of the curve on technology. It's a statement of all that. That said, I really don't care what people say about me when I'm driving a car because I'm driving different things every time. I would buy one of these just because of the way this car drives. It is so impressive, and I got kids and I got mountain bikes that need to go someplace, and it actually does all that while yet gives the performance of a supercar. So, yeah, I would probably get a P85D. I wouldn't get the 21-inch wheel tire package, but P85D, yeah.
I've got to admit, I'm old school. I love the hatchback body style, but I'm probably going to get an Audi RS7. I just think that is a gorgeous car, and the electric cars fascinate me. I mean, I am fascinated by our BMW i3. But, if I'm spending big money, I want no limitations. And that's
And you know what's interesting is sometimes by making the Model S, it's not mass market, but it's out there enough. It has lost sort of that outer space feel. And I got to admit, over the weekend, I saw a BMW i8 and I lost it. And it was all black, and it just went by, and it was a flying saucer.
But that takes you back to the sitting down low and
Yeah,
you're in a tub.
But it spoke to me.
Well, that's what matters. And actually, to be fair, you know what? Despite no matter what the car scores, if it scores 100 or not, by the time you're spending $127,000, the car better speak to you, and you can't factor that into the score. You just can't. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Talking Cars. As always, we thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.